Hello, everyone. Spirit of 420 again here. Just introducing the episode. Today's episode is Spirit of 420 presents Run-ins with the Law, Case 1, First Arrest. Been caught stealing once when I was 12. Yep. So that's not the entire. It's just been caught stealing. So, Case 1, First Arrest. Been caught stealing. It's a funny story. I think you'll enjoy it. Can't think of anything else at this particular moment. So, with that, enjoy the episode. See you soon. Hello, everyone. Spirit of 420 here because everything I do is so 420. The stories that I share on here are 100% factual, and the opinions are mine. You can't have them, but more than welcome to share them. So, let me just start off. I'm in a little bit of physical pain today. Yesterday, I don't know what I did. But men will know this and understand this, but I sprained my right testicle, and it's in a lot of pain. So it's not a groin sprain, it is a literal testicle sprain. So it hurts every time, you move around. And it seems that these types of things happen the older you get due to gravity, and I'll leave it at that, but you can imagine why. They just kind of, imagine two things getting caught in the folds of a pillow and they kind of get squashed. There you go. Next, I am working on a big surprise, a little project that I'm doing. I think everybody will like it. Right now, only my wife and my mother know, but soon everybody will know, and I'm trying to do it as quick as possible. I think every stoner out there is going to love it. That's the only hint that I'll give. Moving right along. The first arrest. I wanted to set the mood because I was 12 years old. This is 1984. So, to kind of bring that year back into reality, you had Purple Rain had come out that year. What else? Oh, the USSR boycotted the Olympics. And the funny thing is, HIV was identified, but Wendy's couldn't find the beef. Where's the beef? Remember that one? What else went on? Oh, the first woman VP ran. The first woman ran for vice president, but that did not turn out well as Reagan just destroyed Mondale, and I believe her name was Geraldine Ferraro, something like that. If I'm getting close, I tried. So, the year was, let's just say it was a crazy year. Oh, Apple also put out a commercial that year based on the George Orwell 1984 book. It was the 1984 commercial, so that's funny. I believe it was for the Macintosh. Anyway, when I was, I had just moved. This was a transfer time in my life, so one of the things I started, and I moved from one place to another, so one of the things I started to do to fit in, and I think I've said this before, and if I haven't, it's a story unto itself, and so I'll just give the brief description. But out of 11 years of school, because I didn't go to school my senior year, but out of 11 years of school, I essentially was the new kid 8 years, and again, that's a story for another day. But this was one of those years. There's my dogs letting everybody know they exist. This was one of those years, and point in fact, one of the things I tried to do to kind of gain popularity was I started stealing, and I would steal many, many things. Everybody loved music, so a lot of people loved Circus Magazine. What was the other one? I think it was Hip Parader. There was a few rock and roll magazines that my friends loved, and we loved to take the pictures out and put them on our wall and cover our wall with a collage of idols, if you will, in the heavy metal industry. Obviously, Motley Crue was in there. Oh, by the way, quick break. I know I'm interrupting, but I always told you I would introduce. So this is a little sax. If you can't figure out why, looks like a little saxophone. Just that easy. And I always name them so that they it's easier to identify them rather than say, hey, the orange one. We have 3 orange ones. So that's the reason I do that. Back to the stealing. So, I would even steal Pillsbury chocolate chip cookie dough because kids love to eat it. And then I got to the point where I was stealing tapes, cassettes. And, back in 1984, they were in these ridiculously big plastic holders, and they would hold them sideways. Literally, it was like the length of 4 cassettes sitting side by side, standing upright, sitting side by side. And that was the size of this plastic thing that you had to take up to the counter and be like, hey, I'd like to buy this. Can you remove this, please? I know they still have things now, but they've gotten much better at it. So I wore this gray members only jacket, which was still quite popular in 1984. I'd zip it up and I'd go in there and I would have a field day. I would either get magazines, whatever. Well, the local Walmart that hadn't been open that long was an anchor for a strip mall, obviously, and there was nobody that moved in. All of them were still bare. They were still finishing up most of these spaces. So I wouldn't make just one run, mind you. I would make multiple runs. I would go in, I would steal, fill up my jacket, go out, empty it, and then come back out and do it again, and then I'd ride home on my bike. And I was, actually... I wasn't doing this for free, by the way, so I would charge like $5 for tapes, $1 for magazines, $2 for the cookie dough. Yeah, just because I was a dick. I bet we're talking about the big fat roll. It was kind of a one time I stole it like I had a big penis. I thought that was funny, and it worked. It just walked right out with like, oh my god, that kid must be hung, or they just didn't care to test the limits. You know what I mean? What if I really am that hung? Then they're kind of perverts, right? Back to the story. So I've been getting really good at this, doing this over and over. It was my way of life. I was making money and making friends. Well, I pushed the limits. I went in and I decided to do a third run one day, and had like 5 cassettes on me on the third run. And as I'm walking out, so, I mean, Walmart's hadn't changed that much. They always had the 2-door system. I got out the first door, and the second door opened, and all of a sudden, just from behind, this hand hits my shoulder, and like, turn around, son. I knew right then, and I didn't fight. I don't know why. I froze like a deer in headlights, I mean, and not only that, but where am I going to run? My bike is down. I didn't even, it just wasn't even a thought. So I ended up getting arrested. Regardless, I didn't do any time. I was 12, so I went through this arbitration program. I still remember it today. I had to write an essay on why I shouldn't do it, an apology to Walmart, and then I also had to read this book of the 101 best companies to work for in America and pick my favorite 3 and write a short blurb on why I liked each one. So that was my penance, if you will. Moving on. So, something strange about me. Yep, that was my first arrest. And obviously this is going to be an ongoing series. Case 1. I have multiple run-ins with the law people. I told you I was busted as a drug dealer. So, that's coming. I have a thing about blowing my nose. I don't know about if there's anybody else out there that does this, but I can't stand blowing my nose. And it started as a kid because it was just so disgusting. No matter how hard you try, you're blowing snot into a rag, and it gets all over your lips and your nose, and it just doesn't matter how good you are. It's a messy job, and I never liked it, so I always learned to be like, So the reality was, first I would get to this point of, and just sucking it in and probably not spitting it out as much as I should have, as disgusting as that is, but hey, I'm strange, and I know it. But then I got into this mold of like making this little torpedo out of my tissue paper. And I would just literally burrow through that face cave, just and do both sides. I mean, I tell you, I still today, I don't blow my nose because I feel like my nose ultimately still stays much cleaner and clearer than most people I know in my family. Although, a story for another day, I have a deviated septum, and no, it didn't actually come from doing the huge amounts, although I probably didn't help it. And maybe that's why it broke so easy, but that's a story for another day. moving on. I wouldn't necessarily say that, so I like to talk about how everything happens for a reason. It still does kind of apply, and you'll see what I mean on this next story, just real quick. So yesterday, I played this little Apple Arcade game, Zen Pinball, whatever it is. And I'm sitting there playing the game, and it's a game that I won't go into details because I don't want to bore you. But in this game, my high score is like 512 million. All right. And I'm sitting there talking to my wife, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to try for a high score. First two balls, I kid you not, and you only get 3 balls in pinball for those who don't know. First 2 balls, I get 1,230,000. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most. I mean, this is a game where my high score is 500. I typically score about 100 just playing an average game, right? I've 2 balls and I've gotten a whopping 1.23 million. So I toyed with the idea of just stopping the game, but I was like, now I'll play this last ball. Let's see what happens, babe. That's what I said to her. Let's see what happens. Long story short, and I mean that because I'm not going to go into the details. Well, I'll go into a few. It's kind of funny, but I ended up playing that game over like the course of the next 4 hours. I had to pause it. I had to do a meeting. I had to talk to my son. There was multiple things that I had to do instead of playing this game, but at the same time, I put in about 2.5 hours to that game. Ended up having not just the best game of my entire life on pinball, because if you've ever played that game, Zen Pinball, you'll know how realistic it is. It's one of the things that makes me believe that we are living truly in a simulated world, because that is just like the games. I played this game, the very game. I used to play it in reality, and it's exactly the way it was. The ball reacts the same. It's amazing. But I digress. It was the top 10 best score ever. Period. I mean, this is one of the greatest games ever. I ended up scoring 1 billion 90 something million. I mean, just ridiculous. With that third ball, I can't tell you how many balls. I honestly lost count. I must have gotten at least 11, 12 extra balls. I went through the game twice. I went through this. I almost went through it completely 3 times. And they have side games in pinball. You have a main game. You have side games, just like most games. On the side games, I mean, on one of them, I did it like 25 times. I mean, it was stupid. It was I could not miss a shot. I was in the zone, and it was one of the most incredible games of my life. So yeah, everything happens for a reason. I could have just let that. I mean, a lot of times, there are many times myself, I would have just quit. I would have been like, fuck it. That is a ridiculous. I would have just closed the app and been like, obviously they're going to trash me. But I was like, nah, let's see what happens. Let's see what I can do with one, because that's essentially a fucking game with 1 ball. The first 2 were null and void. So, funny enough, as bad as the first 2 were, they weren't quite as bad, but the last 2 were pretty shitty. I couldn't believe how great every ball was, because I told you I ended up playing like, I don't know, 14, maybe 15 more balls with that third one, all in all, the third one plus all the extras that I got. And ridiculously so, the last 2, I think I scored a whopping 3 million. So it was kind of funny, easy come on the first 2, easy go on the last 2. But between it was incredible. So that is all I have for today. I'm sure that I'll end up doing something extra, think about something that I forgot to say that I meant to say. But remember this: most people don't realize just how strange, most people don't realize just how normal strange is. Obviously, I'm a stoner, and I do have dyslexia, so I love to flip words. I can't believe I haven't done it more since I've been on the show. But with that said, and all of y'all in suspense, you know what I'm going to say. Opinions are like assholes. Most people have them. Most people think everybody else's stinks. Well, mine stink like fine brewed coffee. Thank you so much. And kick-ass weed. Till next episode, have a wonderful day. Hope you're getting higher than I am. So as per usual, my stoner memory, just get used to it. I'll probably do this every time. I do have something extra. I changed my mind, but I was sitting here. This one happened because I was making the thumbnail and realized that I like the idea of putting in parentheses. So The official title is Everything I Said, Run-ins with the Law, Case 1, First Arrest, Been Caught Stealing, but then parentheses, When I Was 12, which you already know that because you're on the episode, but I'm just telling you since I clearly went against what I said I was going to do in the episode. But I changed my mind, and I think I'm allowed to do that, and I don't edit these. This is, when I say edit, I might start over at the very beginning if I fumble right at the beginning, but if I fumble in the middle of it, clearly you can tell I haven't come back. If anything, I will come back and fix myself, or, correct myself, if you will, and give you a little extra like this. I think it's more fun. Anyway, have a great day. Peace. Yet another thought. I won't say it's the final one because knowing me, I'll think of something else. But please do read my descriptions, because many times I will put extras in there or things that I think of again afterwards once I've posted. That's my opportunity to go even further and put a little bit of extra, if you will, even in the description, which I try to do so just because, again, I can never remember anything. I have that kind of a mind. So the extras that I record, as well as the notes that I write and the description that I provide, they're all just another piece of it. So hope you enjoy. Till next episode.